The village of Hollow Creek was a place forgotten by time. Nestled deep within a valley, shrouded by an unnatural mist, it exuded an aura of unsettling stillness. Ancient oaks, their branches gnarled like skeletal fingers, lined the single road leading in, their leaves rustling with secrets best left buried. The houses, huddled close together, were weathered and worn, their windows like vacant eyes staring out at the world with a mixture of suspicion and fear. At the edge of the village, overlooking the silent houses, stood Blackwood Manor. Once a grand estate, it now loomed like a specter against the gray sky. Its stone walls were crumbling, consumed by ivy and moss. The windows, once sparkling with life, were now dark, empty sockets. The air around it was heavy, thick with the weight of unspeakable sorrow and the chill of lingering dread. The villagers, hardened by generations of fear, whispered tales of the manor. They spoke of it in hushed tones, their voices barely a murmur against the ever-present silence. Their eyes, filled with a mixture of fear and resignation, reflected the knowledge that some secrets were best left undisturbed. The manor, they believed, was not merely a house. It was a living entity, its heart beating with a darkness that seeped into the very soul of the village. It was a place of shadows and whispers, where the past refused to die, and the present was forever haunted by the echoes of forgotten screams. The legend of Blackwood Manor was as old as the village itself. It was a tale passed down through generations, whispered in the dead of night, a cautionary reminder of the darkness that lay dormant beneath the surface of their world. It began with Thomas Blackwood, the manor's original owner, a man consumed by grief. His wife and children, struck down by a sudden and mysterious illness, were laid to rest in the small graveyard behind the manor. Driven mad by his loss, Thomas sought solace in forbidden knowledge, delving into ancient texts, seeking a way to cheat death. His desperate search led him to a ritual, a dark pact promising to bind the souls of his loved ones to the manor, forever tethered to the mortal realm. The price, the ancient texts warned, was steep, a soul for a soul. But Thomas, blinded by grief, was willing to pay any price. The ritual, performed under a blood-red moon, unleashed a terror upon the manor and the village. The earth trembled, the wind howled, and a chorus of screams echoed through the night. When dawn broke, Thomas Blackwood was gone, vanished without a trace, and the manor stood silent, cloaked in an eerie stillness. The villagers, forever marked by that night of horror, believed that Thomas's desperate act had cursed the manor, transforming it into a prison for his family's souls and a beacon for the restless dead. It was a place where the veil between worlds was thin, where the whispers of the past mingled with the silence of the present, a constant reminder of the price of tampering with forces beyond human comprehension. As dusk settled over Hollow Creek, casting long, eerie shadows across the village square, a lone figure emerged from the mist-shrouded road. Amelia, a traveler weary from her journey, her eyes searching for shelter, her heart heavy with a premonition of unease. She had heard whispers of Hollow Creek, tales told by firelight in hushed tones, stories of a village trapped in time, shrouded in an unnatural mist, where the dead lingered and the living walked in fear. But Amelia, a woman of science and reason, dismissed them as mere superstition, the product of overactive imaginations and long, dark nights. Her gaze fell upon the imposing silhouette of Blackwood Manor, its dark outline stark against the fading light. A shiver ran down her spine, a primal instinct warning her to turn back, to seek shelter elsewhere. But Amelia, her rational mind dismissing the tremor of fear as exhaustion, pressed on, drawn to the manor like a moth to a flickering flame. The villagers, their faces etched with concern, watched her approach, their eyes filled with a mixture of pity and resignation. They knew the stories, the legends whispered through generations, the warnings etched into the very fabric of their existence. They knew that the stranger, drawn to the manor's allure, was walking blindly into the jaws of a darkness from which few escaped. Amelia, her hand hovering over the rusted iron gate of Blackwood Manor, felt a sudden chill, a wave of icy air that seemed to emanate from the very stones of the house. She paused, her senses on high alert, her logical mind struggling to explain the sudden shift in atmosphere. An old woman, her face a roadmap of wrinkles, her eyes reflecting a lifetime of witnessing the manor's dark influence, emerged from the shadows of a nearby cottage. She approached Amelia cautiously, her steps slow and deliberate, her voice a raspy whisper that seemed to cut through the silence. "Turn back, child," the old woman pleaded, her voice trembling with urgency. "This is no place for the living. The manor, it hungers for souls, for the warmth of life to fuel its darkness. It will lure you in with promises of peace, of solace, but it will not let you go." Amelia, though shaken by the old woman's intensity, her words echoing the unease gnawing at her own gut, forced a reassuring smile. "Thank you for your concern," she replied, her voice calm despite the tremor running through her. "But I need shelter for the night. I assure you, I am in no danger." The old woman, her eyes filled with a mixture of pity and resignation, shook her head slowly. "You do not understand," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the rustling of leaves. "This is not a place of logic, of reason. This is a place where darkness reigns, where the past refuses to die, and the present is forever haunted by its grip." Amelia, her steps echoing in the deathly silence, pushed open the heavy oak door of Blackwood Manor. The air inside was stale and cold, thick with the scent of decay and the weight of countless unuttered secrets. Dust motes danced in the faint moonlight filtering through the grimy windows, illuminating the faded grandeur of a bygone era. Cobwebs draped the once ornate furniture like ghostly shrouds, and the portraits lining the walls stared down at her with accusing eyes. The silence, broken only by the creaking of the floorboards beneath her feet, was unnerving, a suffocating blanket that seemed to muffle her every breath. She wandered from room to room, her footsteps echoing in the emptiness, each step deepening the sense of unease that had taken root in her gut. The air grew colder, the shadows deeper, and the silence more profound, broken only by the occasional groan of the old house settling around her. In the grand ballroom, where music and laughter once filled the air, Amelia paused, her breath catching in her throat. She could have sworn she saw a flicker of movement in the shadows, a fleeting glimpse of a figure waltzing in the darkness. But when she blinked, it was gone, vanished like a wisp of smoke, leaving behind only the echoing silence and the unsettling feeling that she was not alone. As night deepened, casting long, eerie shadows across the decaying grandeur of Blackwood Manor, Amelia felt a presence, a subtle shift in the atmosphere that sent a shiver down her spine. The silence, once unnerving, now throbbed with an unseen energy, a low hum of anticipation that seemed to vibrate in her very bones. Whispers, faint and indistinct, slithered through the empty halls, weaving around her like phantom fingers. They seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves, whispers of sorrow, of anger, of a grief so profound it echoed through the ages. Amelia, her rational mind struggling to maintain control, tried to dismiss them as the tricks of a weary mind, the product of suggestion and the power of the manor's unsettling atmosphere. But deep down, a primal instinct, a flicker of ancient fear buried deep within her subconscious, warned her that the whispers were real, that the darkness that clung to Blackwood Manor was awakening, its slumber disturbed by her presence. A blood-curdling scream, echoing through the manor, shattered the silence, jolting Amelia from her uneasy slumber. She sat bolt upright in the dusty four-poster bed, her heart pounding in her chest, her breath coming in short, shallow gasps. The scream, filled with an agony that transcended language, seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, reverberating through the very foundations of the house.